Hello everyone, welcome to Caroline's Craftery and welcome to part 5 of the Extreme Junk Journal Jam, where I'm dealing with all of the big pile of jewelry that I purchased. I thought I would show you today about untangling chains. Now I've learned quite a bit in doing half of the stash that I got so far, but this is either going to be a complete disaster in this video or it's going to go really good and these piles will go good. I picked out 2 piles of chains that are pretty tangled and we're just going to play. I'm not going to do this forever. As I say, it'll probably go really good. And look at that. See, it's already starting to fall apart. Not fall apart, but the pile's starting to come apart. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of what I do, and maybe you'll learn. I've got a couple pair of pliers. I've got some wire cutters. I've got a really old pair of scissors that I don't care if they get wrecked. And yes, I do use these for cutting wire. And then I've got my Tim Holtz Sonic Tonic ones, but I don't want to cut too much wire with these, so I use them. But now what I do is when I get a pile like this, is the first thing I will do is I'll check for any magnetic jewelry, and I'll tell you right now, a magnet in this stuff is horrible. Or earrings, because an earring hook can go through many different chains and just cause it to not come apart. Now, this may seem like a disaster, but in reality it's not. Like this one here is already coming apart. That's a really nice piece, actually. I like that. That's something I will keep whole. And then I'm just going to set the pieces. Once I get them apart, I'm just going to set them aside. Now this one here, I just look to see what the chains are. Now you can see this wire here is loose, but it's got a little knobby thing there. So the beads aren't going to fall off. And I'm just going to pull them apart. So far, so good. Now, when you start getting down to harder things, like this here chain is looped behind there, one piece at a time. That's all you can do, is one piece at a time. And there we go. It's actually a really cute piece too. So we got that one. We got this little bit of, like part of an elastic off of something, so that'll go in the garbage, of course. And we got this chain here. Now, in a case like this, I will undo. I guess won't be able to. Okay, I'm going to undo this end. If your chain isn't joined, it makes it a lot easier because you can pull it through. So I'm just going to open this jump ring up. And I will save those. I've got a little jar that I'm putting them in. Is this? Okay, this one. Let's undo it. This here. Now this may be very boring, but I'm hoping that somebody will get some use out of this. I would love to know how you detangle this type of stuff. I do not think there's an easy way of doing it, per se. I'm going to take that jump ring right off because other words, it's just going to get tangled in something else. Now I can continue working on this necklace here. Now usually what I'll do is I'll try and follow it. And the reason I like to take the end off, because then I can pull it right through. Oh, see, there's another piece. That was an earring piece, but I didn't see that. And now I'm just going to work my way down and just I'm just gonna like grab the chain and I'm gonna like just loosen it up a bit. Now I can pull these pieces all the way through and hopefully get them untangled even more. But this is what I do. Time consuming? You bet. Rewarding? Yeah, to a point, but it's something I gotta do. Will I cut a chain apart? You bet I will. But I try not to. I try to keep them intact if I can. But some things like jewelry, like beads that are on a wire are really bad, like I talked about in my last video. So there's another piece of chain done. So far this piece is going pretty good. Oh, you see now that one there is pretty much done. See, this one here has been broken. A lot of broken chains, but that's okay. When I got this, you know, they said it's craft jewelry, broken pieces and whatnot. But there's been some beautiful, beautiful pieces that I've gotten. And now this one here, I'm doing this chain because it's gold. All the rest is silver or dark. So it's a little easier to pick out. And I'm just going to keep playing at this. And there's another one done. Now here, we've got this here part here is joined. So let's undo that. And it's dirty. You can see my fingers already. And you can see my mat. Now this is hooked on to this silver chain as far as I can tell. But I will just keep playing and playing. But the things I do start with first is any wired jewelry in these, earrings, and check for magnetic beads. There's a lot of jewelry out there with magnetic beads on it. And usually it hasn't been too bad. I've gotten 2 little piles of chains that I've set aside because they are really, really bad. And I will play at those down the road. Okay, and I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Trying to stay talking because usually I'm listening to music or listening to YouTube channels while I do this, or maybe a movie. But really just working at usually one chain. Sometimes another chain will take precedence over the other one. Maybe, you know, I'm doing something and one chain tends to stand out. I try to do chains that are standing out from others, just because they're easier to see in a big pile. So we got this here. Sometimes they'll get stuck in there, and you know, it's beyond me how on earth sometimes chains get stuck like that, but I will work on getting that out. But this piece is free now, and obviously that chain was broken, or this wasn't the chain. There we go, and now this piece is done, and this looks like it's all one. No. Let's see, there's another piece of chain here, and then this is one piece right there. That's a cute little bow decoration on there. So there is one pile done. Now what did that take? That took about almost 10 minutes, probably 8 minutes by the time, you know, you take out my chatting and whatnot. Now this piece here is going to be broken. I can tell by the way the beads are dividing. So I'm going to take that, oops, and I'm just going to push those beads down, and I'm going to tie a couple big knots in the end here just to stop it from that last bead coming off, and then that way I can wash it whole. Not whole because it's not a whole necklace, but without the beads all coming off. So there's that. I'll snip off this excess so it doesn't get tangled up in anything. Now in this one here, I see a leather piece right here. And that can really mess, oh, it's got a piece of chain on it though. So I am going to get that off, and I'm going to snip it off. Easier to deal with. So we got that, and let's get rid of this other little leather piece, because this can mess up your pile really, really fast. And they're usually easy to get off because you can trim them. So then we got this piece here, and I will cut this chain off. Let's do it right now. Let's just take these. And some of these chains are, I think my wire cutters aren't the best, but let's get right up in here this time. There. So we managed to pull it off. This will go in the garbage. I don't try and save these springs because, yeah, it doesn't work. So now this one here, you can see we've got a variety of pieces. Let's start by undoing any of the links we can find. And here is a piece that looks like it's going to come out fairly easy, so let's do that. Just going to follow it around this pile. Every time you get a piece loose, that's one less piece to deal with in your pile. And I'll just keep pulling it through, trying my best to follow it where it's going. And sooner or later, I'm going to come to the other end. And I'll tell you, there's been some pretty long chain pieces in this. Things like this come through really easy because it's like a string, but it's a chain. So they normally come out quite easy. Oh, we're coming to, let's see, I got sidetracked. Oh, there's another piece of that leather. Let's get rid of it. Okay, I've lost track of which one I'm going to be pulling, but now we're back on track again. So now we're coming to a place, see now it's joined on to all of these other. This can be a nightmare as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this jump ring that joins them all together. I'm not going to use these all together anyways, but I can always put a whole bunch of silver chains back together on a jump ring. Put that in my pile of things to keep. So now there is one less piece there. There's still more of this. And I'm going to take that apart right there. Make it easier. And this is what I do. Thank goodness that there hasn't been tons of piles like this. I mean, every bag, of course, is going to be some, without a doubt. Now here we are at the other side of this necklace, and I'm going to undo the big jump ring to start with, because it looks like there's 5, 6 chains that join together. I'm sure you all know the necklaces like this. And they're a nightmare when it comes time to take them apart. So there we go. So there's all that. That's good. Now we got this weird chain here. Now ones like this, they're not going to slide through the other chain very good. But when they get to something like this, I'll hold them up kind of, and then I'll just slip the chain off wherever it's holding it, and there we go. And there's an earring. It's beyond me sometimes how these things get into these places, but yet you can't get them out, because that's not even going to fit. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So there is that cute little chain. It's just, oh, there's an end to something. I'll put that in my, oh, and there's an earring that just fell out. But with the earrings, like these hooks can go through pretty much any chain, and it'll hook those chains together. Okay, here's another piece of that one we just pulled out. And there's another piece. Perfect. These are actually coming apart pretty nice. We got this one here with some beads on it. And if I took this one apart, I'd take it apart there. I could still use that piece. But I will try to take it apart whole. And see, oh, there you go. Now there's this knot here, and that's the type of thing I will do after. I'll wash it, and then I'll decide at that point, am I just going to use this and put the chain in my chain pile? Then let's work on this. Oh, there we go. That was easy. Oh, there's another piece. And this is the way it is. And these are actually all from that one that I took the jump rings off of. That's what all these are for. So once I take those off, of course, they all come apart pretty easy. So in here it's got a cute little bird on it. That's cute. But all in all, actually, they're coming apart quite nice. Now this is all separate. This is what I mean by a magnetic bead, right there. And it's there. And now when you get that all tangled up, especially if you get a few of these, to be honest, I do not keep these. I hate them. Hate them, hate them, hate them. So that will actually go into my garbage. I don't throw them away very often, but those I do. And to think one time I actually bought a magnetic bracelet because it was supposed to be good for arthritis. And so we got these nice big long pieces of chain. There's a little knot there. I'll take that apart after. I didn't want to make this video like really long, but I thought some might just get a use out of this. Now when you're dealing with big beads like this, it's going to be harder. So I will try and find the end, which I found an end there. There's the clasp. So let's undo that. And now we can just start working at this. Now when the chain is really tight, and there's another example of a whole bunch of chains around one thing. So let's go ahead and take that off. As I say, the chances of me using that as a whole are very, very slim. So let's take these all off. And I'm going to leave this ring on this lobster claw. Now, these chains will probably come apart easier, but there is beads on some of them. So let's just see. Just going to work my way down. Oh, we found the end. Good. Always like it when I find one end. Now, when it's like that, I'll just, oh, there we go. Another jump ring with tons of chains on it. And a lot of the times when I do find a big ball of chain like this, it is something to do with a whole bunch of chains hooked together. So we got that. We got a little piece. Now let's find another end. There's another end. Let's keep just pulling this out gentle. Then when I get to something like this where that's wrapped around, I can go like that. There's another piece free. Our pile is getting smaller and smaller. Here's an end. And, oops, lost the end. Here we go. And the smaller your pile gets, the easier it is. And then when I get something like this, I'll just lift those chains up and over whatever bead they're caught on. There's another piece. So what, has there been 3 pieces like this so far on those jump rings that we took off? Let's find another end. Here's another end. And as I get going and when I'm listening to a video or something, I just sit here and I just do this, and I'm not even really thinking about it. I'm listening to something and just continue going. Okay, let's find another end. Here we go. And the same thing. Now this has a lot more tangled around it, but just lift those up and over. I have yet to get one that I haven't been able to untangle. Now as I'm getting down to the end, this is getting like a bigger ball there. So I will just kind of take my fingers and do this type of thing. And it just kind of loosens it all up. Because you just want to get it loose so that way you can see what you're doing and where you're going. And if I have to, I'll pick another end. Here's an end here. And I'll play with that end for a little bit. Let's see, what are we doing here? Try to get it untangled a little bit. Oh, which one am I doing? It's easy to lose track of which chain you're supposed to pull. When I was a kid, we used to have to untangle our fishing lines all the time. It's coming. We've got 2 ends now that we can play with. But just pull pull that a little bit and try to figure out which one I'm going to pull. The one thing with this, don't rush. Just take your time. And this is not for everyone. Some people would be so frustrated. I do not mind stuff like this. Oh, now we got another end, so that can be good. Because that... But we just gotta keep plugging away and play with it. And if I get frustrated doing it, I'll go and do something else for a while. Now you can see we're not nearly as tangled up now as we were. And I'm sure everybody does this differently, and maybe you're at the other end of the camera saying, oh no, do it this way. Just with what I've done in the past and what I've been doing. And by the end of this, I'm going to be, will I be a detangler expert? I don't know. And sometimes when I used to untangle ropes and stuff, my dad would say, every time you pull the rope through, you're going to have to pull it through again, which may be very true, but sometimes that's the only way you can get it done. And we got one last knot here. Take this out now while we're right here. Okay, what do we got? We got one long piece happening here. We've got one there. We've got one here. So we've almost got this done. We are so close. And sometimes that last little bit can be the hardest. But we will get this. We got this one beat. There's that. There's that. So close. I think this will be it. I think we got her. That piece. And there is that piece. We did it. We untangled those two clumps. And it took us, what, 27 minutes, so about 25 minutes, minus the chatting at the start of the video. But now I've got all these pieces that I can put into my appropriate little containers that I've been showing you of all the different pieces. Now, just want to show you something. I just got to grab a bag that is in, oh, what is it now? Not sure where the second one is, but this is one of the ones I was saving for later. I don't think it's going to be that hard, but it's just the way it was set up. And at the time that I was doing what this one came out of, I didn't want to do it. Now this is actually one piece. Well, maybe not, because there's all that there. But this is one piece. Now you can see the end here is like this big long row, and then we got all these chains coming through or down it. Now I'm never going to get that untangled. Some of them are broken. So I will take all these off of here, and I'll put those into my chain pile, and then I'll reuse this thing for something. Not quite sure what, but I will use it for something at some point. But that's one of the ones I put aside because it's going to take a while to take all those jump rings off. All these jump rings off of this side, plus untangle whatever's in the middle. But I don't think it's going to be really, really hard to do. Once you get them unhooked from here, I think most of them will slip right out. But that's one that I put. Now, these, I actually thought it was part of that at first, but that's a pretty good mess too. And all the chain is exactly the same. So at the time, the evening that I was on this bunch, it was too much at that moment, so I just threw it in a bag. That one there is pretty knotted up, but I'll get it untangled for sure, without a doubt. So that's just some of the mess that a person can find in this here. And like I say, this you would never untangle because, or get it to the state of being worn, because it's, who knows how many times this has passed through the chains and whatnot. But it's a very nice chain. It's very shiny, very pretty. It's kind of got a twist in there. So it's a very pretty chain. So it'll definitely get taken apart and used. And I'll do that on a day that my patience is very nice and high. But, and something else, just a little quick little tidbit, which a lot of you probably do. You can see my mat's quite dirty, but you can see all the flakes. Usually it's way worse than that. I will take a piece, excuse the noise. I will take a piece of just, this is just ordinary packing tape. And this is how I clean this off. And it picks up any bits of stuff. And I do this for a lot of things. If I'm doing something that's got like fuzz or something on it. Now, of course, using white for this. And it's gotten pretty dirty, but not horribly bad. And it's picked up all that stuff. Crumple it up. Done. I've picked up all those little bits of metal. I'll do it on my table. Sometimes I'll just wrap it like this. Put my fingers in there. And pick stuff up that is too piddly. I can do my table bits. Oops, pick up chain. But great for like sparkles, glitter, if you've spilt glitter or something like that. And done, cleaned up, good to go. But I hope you enjoyed this untangling. If you have any questions, ask away. If you got any tips on how to make the whole process easier, let me know. Check out the links below. And I'm going to go and put these in the appropriate places. I think all in all, because you're seeing this video, it turned out to be a success. I was going to show it either way, whether it was a disaster or whether it went good, but overall, it went good. I'm going to go wash my hands. You can see how dirty and yucky they are just from that little bit. And it'll all be way better once I get everything washed up. But check out the other videos, links, shops, all that stuff. And we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.